Are you ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Hey, oh jeez.
That'll be
I was ready to say hey boys and girls, so we're not using that anymore.
Wait, is it recording?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got the little red dot, right?
I don't see one.
Right, kind of there. Hey toy collectors, welcome to another super exciting, outrageous toy review. Today I've got a panel of G.I. Joe fans here to talk about their favorite G.I. Joes. I've got Mike Bro from The Bro Show and Rose and Tony from RetroCon. In this episode we're talking about Rose's favorite G.I. Joe figures, or Cobra figures I should say.
My favorites are, well you have the newer ones here.
The original.
But this is actually my favorite set of the twins. And there's a story behind it, but the twins are definitely my favorites.
So the twins are Xamot and Tomax.
Yep.
They are the leaders of the Crimson Guard.
And can I say why this is
Absolutely.
my favorite set?
Oh yeah,
This
we
is your
want to know.
episode.
Well, years ago, this was probably about, I'd say 6 or 7 years ago, when Wally Burr was still alive. He wanted to have this big...
Who was Wally Burr, real quick, for
Wally
anybody that doesn't
Burr?
know? I know.
He was the director of G.I. Joe and Transformers. He put the actors together, he picked them out, and he wrote... I don't know if he didn't write the scripts, but he did a lot of the voice directing.
Right.
He even filled in. He filled in a lot
Okay.
of times for these guys. So he wanted to do this big gathering, kind of like a reunion. And he asked me if I wanted to come out and help out with it, if Tony wanted to come out. It ended up with getting these signed. Michael Bell was there. He signed it. And then later on, Michael Bell was one of the characters. He had a lot of characters.
Yeah.
He had one really famous character, though, from the cartoon.
Yeah, and that was Duke.
Duke.
Yo, Joe!
So he says, why don't you come out and do this? And I met up with Michael, and he signed this one. And then the next day, in one of his cartoon studios, Corey Burton signed the other sides.
So now, who voiced who is my question.
Well, I'm going to cheat and look.
Well, they were twins, so,
They were twins, and, Corey signed Tomax.
Okay.
So if he's wrong,
Process of elimination.
Yeah, exactly.
Xamot was always
Xamot.
my favorite twin because
Xamot.
he had the scar, so I thought he was cooler.
Yep.
Both of them signed it, and I didn't realize it until today again. It's been years since I've taken it down that Dr. Mindbender, Brian Cummings, signed the back.
He's a card. I've met him, talked with him a lot, and he's just, like, funny. Like,
He's
he will
really
do
into it,
random
too.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He enjoys being Dr. Mindbender
Oh, yeah.
and doing
He loves
random
doing that
silly
voice.
stuff.
A lot of these, some of the actors, you have to try to work them into doing the voice, but he just loves the character.
Not all viruses create such destruction, but as you can see, mine does.
And I've always loved the twins. I've loved them in the cartoon. And I didn't have the twins as a kid. Of course, I didn't have any G.I. Joes as a kid except for Jinx. But I always loved the characters in the cartoon. I loved the way they interacted. If one got punched, the other one felt it.
Well,
And,
what are we reenacted it? Tony, I'm going to punch myself, and then you have to react. Oh.
Go for it.
And like, oh, wait, you're supposed to reenact.
Maybe just
So
try punching harder.
it was interesting because Tony and I were talking about it just a second ago before the video started. If one was hungry and the other one was eating, would the other one fill up? Would he feel
Possibly.
hungry? I mean, it's
Does the
kind
other
of,
one feel better when the other one goes to the bathroom?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
If one gets a cold, does the other one suffer from it more?
Maybe.
I mean, it makes you wonder. But I've always loved these two characters. They're very professional. They run an enterprise. And what's the name of that enterprise?
Extensive Enterprises. Basically Walmart of the G.I. Joe world.
And they always wore suits.
Uh-huh.
And there's several episodes where they're doing these acrobats and
Yeah.
stuff, which made them famous too, why I loved them so much. But they were trying to get away in the business building. And do you remember that one where they dropped down and they were doing all these
Oh, yeah.
flips and everything to get to the ground?
And some they lived and didn't like go splat.
One of my favorite things, and it's connected to the voice actors, because they shared a lot of their lines, like they finished each other's sentences, the two voices, though, I don't know music terms well enough, but they harmonized or something.
Yeah.
In some way, those voices together always sounded really neat. Like
They tonally sounded
yeah,
right.
tonally.
Yeah.
Because they would like say different parts, but then sometimes speak together. And when they spoke together, the voices just meshed really cool.
We said in our report,
Your Highness,
a computer virus,
can be as dangerous to a computer
as an organic virus is
to the human body.
I'm sure that at one time they at least thought to have the same voice actor for both, but then they probably decided to have a bit of a contrast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they would kind of.
But it's just close enough that it sounds,
that
it
it
has a
works.
neat tone to it.
It does, and a lot of people that are Transformer fans, you know that the two actors, Corey and Michael, both voiced the twins, Sideswipe and Sunstreaker, too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe Wally liked that he decided they worked great with G.I. Joe, whichever came first, the Transformers or the G.I. Joe. But I think it was Transformers with the twins.
Right.
Mhm.
And then it came to these. He thought, well, these guys worked good together as a twins. Let's do that again.
I wonder, you might be able to answer this since you knew Wally and everything. When they were doing the voicing for the shows, as I recall, they did a lot of it in the same room. So I wonder if they played off each other as well
They
together.
probably did, just like what you do with with this.
Right.
You're playing off each other because they did have like a studio where they had 4 or 5.
Right.
And when I had this signed, Tony was with me, and Corey actually invited us in to watch and do some recording.
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm out.
And he said that he was the only one there because I guess the others had recorded earlier. It was like he was doing Captain Hook and the Neverland Pirates at the time.
Ooh.
But he said there's usually about 4 or 5 people in there, and they're playing off each other.
Yep.
It helps them read the script and get into the character
Right.
if they're going against each other.
If you were in a studio, where's your voice? What character did you do?
If I were in a,
Yeah, if you were in a studio, what character would you want to voice in G.I. Joe?
oh, well, that would be Zorana.
I could see that. Tony, you'd be...
Be a viper, a silent viper.
Don't let him fool you. He was actually the voice of Snake Eyes.
No, there we go.
This is true.
Kevin?
Well, I'd probably do Chuckles' voice too, because that's the one.
I fully admit I'd have to either be Destro, Cobra Commander, or Scoop. One of those...
Can you do the voice?
let's see here. Destro. What a buffoon. I can't believe that you did that. And then there's Cobra Commander. Listen, see, I'm going to make sure that they get there too, because I want to rule the world. You know.
You're gonna wear out your voice
No.
doing that one real quick.
No, I have no choice in no chance in voice acting. And then in Scoop, I got a camera.
I honestly feel like there's not enough love for the voice actors, and that's one reason why I wanted to bring this, because there's never enough love for the voice actors. Nowadays, it's a lot of the toys, but I don't think that the original, where it came from, is as noticed. You know, like...
I don't think that the toys would have been as culturally as important without the cartoon. The cartoon is what burned into everybody's memory. Like,
It's very symbiotic.
yes, it totally is. But like the imagery and the sounds of a lot of these cartoons, from He-Man to She-Ra to Transformers to G.I. Joe, that was what like first made somebody interested in like begging their mom for that first G.I. Joe or Transformer figure.
Exactly, yeah.
When you think about it, you go back in the history of just animation alone, you have the old Warner Brothers cartoons and Disney cartoons, and they had great voice acting, but there was only a few standout characters like Bugs Bunny, like Mel Blanc doing all those different characters, and you knew who he was. But wasn't a toy line associated with that other than like stuffed
and
characters.
that's what the
It's
80s
important
was
to have both,
famous about. It
Yep.
was, they were selling a product.
It was multimedia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you got great voice actors who were really just great actors in their own right, from not only Wally Burr and Michael Bell here and Corey Burton and such, to like Peter Cullen and everything. They really just exuded those characters, and again,
And they
made
were
you-
doing a job too.
Right.
But if you talk to them now, they're like, "Wow, that there is such a fandom," you know,
Exactly.
because they thought, "Wow, this is just a job, just like you know what we would do a job now."
And now you look at animation, and the only really good animation that has really good voice acting is sometimes some of the big name actors that have gotten into it. And even in big movies like Avengers, where you had Bradley Cooper do Rocket, it just
Right, they're pushing a lot of the people that specialize in voice acting out for the Hollywood actors to do that role, and it in some ways is a shame, because the voice actors have a specific talent of conveying even more emotion with their voice, whereas the Hollywood actors are used to doing a lot with their face.
They're usually just using their normal voices.
Yes.
Right. Whereas
yeah.
a voice actor can have like 20, 30, maybe 40 or 50 voices they can go back on.
And in the movies, though, they're selling it with the actors. They're
Yeah.
selling it because they sound like themselves.
that's
Exactly.
You know.
Whereas with G.I. Joe, you were selling like the G.I. Joe movie or the Transformers animated film, not based on a big name actor, but the character they portrayed, and 90% of that was their voice acting.
They did it a little bit in the movies. They did get a few
Yeah.
celebrities.
Well, yeah,
They
Leonard
were-
Nimoy. and
Don
whatnot.
Johnson as Falcon.
At least they
come
still
on.
included traditional voice
They
actors.
did.
Like
Right.
the new
Nelson as
characters of
Hot
Springer
Rod.
and RC, and they were
Right.
traditional voice actors in the Transformers movie.
Right.
I was glad they didn't replace the cast that already existed. 'Cause
Right.
Those movies weren't the
Yeah.
first outing. They were like, okay, we've done
Exactly.
2 seasons
They
of this now.
respected
Let's,
the continuity.
right. So
whatever could.
for new characters, they were able to inject the star power.
And let's not forget, Globulus was basically the Penguin on steroids.
Right.
Let's just be honest.
And I honestly, a lot of those movie actors, it's true what they say, but I can't see Woody as anyone but Tom Hanks voicing him.
Right. It sounds like Tom Hanks.
Right.
I mean, and Alan,
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen, I can't see anyone else doing Buzz Lightyear.
Exactly. But then you
Yeah.
go back to these guys, I can't see anybody else doing the twins.
Doing the twins,
You know,
yeah.
and even if there's new animation for G.I. Joe and everything, in my mind, I'm still hearing an original Duke. I'm still hearing an original Snake Eyes. Well, Snake Eyes is easy.
I mean, that's a challenge though that they have with these new cartoons is that there is an expectation for Cobra Commander to still sound like Christopher Latta,
Yeah.
and they do try to pay respect to that a little bit. Yeah, they mimic that original actor.
Character. They do that with a lot of the primes that they have.
Yep.
They always try to mimic what Peter Cullen had. Of course, he does the Optimus Prime in the movies,
Right.
but if there's a cartoon runoff,
Yep.
a lot of those are geared towards
Right.
what
I
Optimus
still think
Prime
one of the
was.
biggest mistakes in the Bay movies was not getting Megatron's voice right. Switching over to Hugo Weaving, I think
Initially,
super
and then they
disappointing.
brought back in
Frank
Frank Walker.
Walker back, but like he's just too good.
Yeah.
Have Hugo Weaving be anybody like any secondary Transformer, but like you
Yeah.
need Prime and Megatron like. Those voices are just too iconic.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of actors they could have used. They could have used Corey. I mean, I don't know if they had. I haven't really watched the movies, but I don't know if there was a shockwave in it. But
It was eventually.
But
I
he
think
never.
eventually.
I
He
mean,
like
he
one
could have
line.
yeah.
could have really pulled off some of those characters. Just got some of the original actors. I know they were interested.
Right. So now, final thoughts on.
When the
Twins.
twins, I just think they're amazing characters. I mean, I fell in love with them the way they interact with each other, and there's a lot of personality there.
Now they're the Crimson Guard commanders. I've never seen them actually lead the
I
Crimson
know.
Guard. I
You
find
never
that
see them in extensive enterprises building, like doing anything.
Yeah.
And we do have the red suits too.
Yeah.
The specialty.
And it reminds me of Destro. He's not really part of Cobra, but he is a Cobra emblem, and he seems to have a commanding role somehow, even though he's
Right.
not really. I just find that interesting.
Well, Cobra had a loose command structure.
I think a lot of that stuff just came from like Larry wrote something on the file cards and submitted it, and then the cartoon people somebody else wrote the Bible for the cartoon
Yep.
and gave them a slightly different role, and we just sort of
But no
came up
matter
with this
what,
unusual.
they're always rich and they're always acrobatic, which always made me jealous of them. And they always came with rope.
They always had some kind of advice, some kind of financial advice for Cobra Commander too.
Usually it was always in their favor, not Cobra Commander's
Of
favor.
course.
Yeah, well.
It was financial advice, even if
You
it helped.
you
them
had
out.
to assume they were working with Destro really because they were financing the loans that Cobra Commander's using to buy stuff from Destro.
Mm.
So there really had to have been some sort of backdoor thing going on between them and Destro.
That could have been. That could very well be. I mean, Destro's got to pay for those castle heating bills all the time. Come on.
It's gotta be a horrible installation.
And their medical insurance wasn't very good either.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Cobra did offer it. I mean, if you've ever watched the cartoons,
Yeah.
they mention their medical.
Their medical benefits?
Yeah,
What
benefits
what
and-
medical benefits?
Well,
Seriously.
they do have it though, because there's an
No,
episode
no medical
Shipwreck
benefits.
finds a pamphlet and says they have a medical plan.
No, medical benefits? That's a parachute in their back
Yeah.
so they can always jump out and never die in a plane crash. Or a helicopter crash. How does that work? Anyway.
Doug. All right, thanks for watching this super exciting, outrageous tour review. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos.
Yo Joe.
Rock on.
Or should I say Cobra?